Welcome back to our Factorio base, modeled after the concept of a sashimi belt, which I should clarify is not actually a thing in the real world. But what it's modeled after, the sashimi belt, is the sushi belt, which is a thing. Sushi belt is a belt that runs around the restaurant, chock full of a mixture of all of your favorite sushi creations that you might want to eat. Whereas a sashimi belt would be, sashimi belt would be just raw fish. And you might think a sashimi belt restaurant wouldn't do so well. Where's my California roll? And you would be absolutely right about that. But this metaphor has really gotten gloriously out of control. All right, back to the run. Before we get going here, quick reminder to like and subscribe if you want to see more sashimi in Factorio. What is sashimi in Factorio? Well, sashimi belt is a belt holding all of the raw ores. Sashimi belt, raw fish. Sashimi belt in Factorio, raw ores. Sashimi bus is simply a bunch of these belts running in parallel, and our sashimi bus runs around the exterior of our base because, logically we need to replenish it, so it needs access from both sides. One side for replenishment, the other side for utilization. We replenish from the outside because we're going to find all the ores out in the world, bring them back to the base, get them on the bus, and we use things on the inside to make all of our stuff, our very important stuff. To make all this magic happen, we have repurposed a classic Factorio concept, the lane balancer. Specifically, we are using a 6-4 balancer in this base, which allows 6 total inputs, 4 for the main bus, and 2 to add new ores onto the bus. Honestly, other balancers might have worked, like a 5-4 balancer might be sufficient, an 8-4 might be cool because it would let us do all 4 types of ore at once on one input. But I chose the 6-4 because A, it seemed like kind of a sweet spot, and B, I just kind of thought it looked kind of cool. I liked the way it looked, and if we're being honest, aesthetics are at least 40% of why we play Factorio, at least in my opinion. Look at these beautiful, beautiful 6-4 balancers. Well, today we're going to take a look at our bus a bit more, and then once we're done taking a look at some few more details there, we are going to set up our robots. The automation gods demand progress, and robots will be great. So let's first take a look at the bus. What are we doing in particular when we reinduct stuff out of our production modules and back onto the bus? Take the stuff that we didn't use, the residual stuff, right, that we didn't want when we're making, production science. On the backside, some stuff gets put back on the bus. Well, how do we get it on the bus? It's not as simple as just throwing it back on there. We can't just do that. We have to do more. And in particular, we're doing 2 things more. The first thing we're doing is we are using this redistributor, the single belt redistributors build, which lets us take the belt, split it into 2 parts, right? 2 using a belt balancer, and then merging both of those onto a new belt where half goes on one side and half goes on the other. So even if the inputs to this build are completely imbalanced on one side of the belt, the output will be completely balanced. And this is important because all of our math and logic around injecting new things onto the bus assumes the bus is completely full, right? All 8 sides of all 4 lanes have stuff on them. Now, the 6-4 balancer and the 4-4 balancer, they don't solve this problem for us because they don't actually affect what side of belts things are on. They just mix all the belts. But if you're on the left side of a belt going in to this thing, you'll be on the left side going out and vice versa. So we need to solve this problem separately, and we do that with this little build. The other thing that we want to ensure when we're remerging stuff onto the bus out of our production modules, we want to ensure that it gets remixed with the entire bus. And we do this because each module might use things in imbalanced ratios. You might have some module that uses a lot more copper than iron, and another module that uses a lot more iron than copper. And so it comes out and the mix is wrong, right? And we don't want just the residual of the stuff coming out of one module to go into the next, because the next module might preferentially need the same thing, and there's less of that. So instead, we remerge it back onto the bus, and we mix it all up. Now, if we're merging near a 6/4 balancer build, then we don't need to do anything extra. But if we're not, then we'll use a 4/4 lane balancer to do the mixing. And finally, the last thing we do after any mixing, either with the 6/4 balancer or the 4/4 balancer, is to reshift everything back to the inside of the bus. And that is just to make sure that if we don't have a full four belts of stuff on the bus, we're going to shift it all over so that we can just always pull the inner belt into our different production builds. Let's review what we have built so far in this base. We have our science in the north spoke of our hub and spoke design. We've built automation, logistics, military, and chemical science, although chemical science is running at sort of half speed from the other three. And then our production builds are sitting in the east spoke. Our sort of our mall is sitting in the east spoke of our base. And this is where we're building all the stuff that we need to make our base. And then our science center sits beautifully in the central hub, barely chugging away at our research choices. But that's okay, because this is no speed run, that's for sure. Now, we've recently made electric furnaces, and we will be slowly replacing all of the steel smelters that we see throughout this entire base with electric ones. Here, I'm replacing the furnaces in the military science build area. And it's a good thing that I left some space here for these electric furnaces, because they're 3x3 and the steel ones are 2x2. And someone planned ahead. Sometimes my past self leaves gifts for my future self. So we have electric furnaces, but we will need our other key chemical science technology, robots. Let's get them going. Factorio is, of course, a completely different game once you have robots, as you spend a lot less time manually placing everything and a lot more time thinking about your designs, which is great. So soon I'll be able to sit back in my imaginary factory deck chair, my robotic minions do my bidding, making my plans happen. So for robots, we will need all of the products for the robot ecosystem, and this includes the Roboport, the robots themselves, both logistic and construction bots, and the logistics network chests. All right, well, we're going to need a lot of stuff to make robots, and some key submodules. One of the first things we're going to need is the oil refining area. We need a lot of oil products here. And we have chosen, because we have a sashimi base, to also refine all of our oils in place. It just feels right, given that we're smelting all of our ores here. We might as well be refining all of our oils here, right? So what do we need for our robots? Well, we need plastic for the red circuits. Let's get the red circuits going first. And here is the red circuit build. And we'll follow that up with electric engines, which are going to be needed for the flying robot frames. We'll also need some steel for those. Oh, and with steel, we can actually start making our roboports. We just need the red circuits, the steel, and some gears. So we'll put that right here. And then back up to the electric engines next. For engines, we are going to need batteries. Now, batteries need sulfuric acid needs sulfur, and both sulfuric acid and batteries need plates. And the plates are easy because the plates can just be made from smelting off of our sashimi belt. That's really convenient. Here we go. Oh, it looks like we also need a new tech to research. Let's choose the rocket. Honestly, we're not going to be getting to space anytime soon at the pace this run is going. This is a lot of hard work getting these builds up and figuring them out. But hey, why not be a little optimistic here? We will eventually get to space. This is space exploration after all. Okay, back to the robots. We just continue our build right over here to the right. There's space over here. Let's see. Logistic robots need red chips and steel and robot frames, while the construction robots need green chips, steel, and robot frames. This calls for symmetry. This looks nice. We have way too many belts in this build, and we're really moving things from place to place more than I'd like. But hey, what's Factorio without belts? Hint, it's a pure robot solution, which, while very easy to build, is also not particularly interesting visually, in my opinion. I mean, what's the fun and efficiency without spaghetti? So now we need a natural robot port. Where is it? Let's see, we were building them, right? Okay, over here. Okay, seems not. I thought I was. Just missing a few inserters. There. Okay, now we're making roboports. So, where was I? Right, the roboport goes in between the two. Oh, sadly, it's 4 tiles across, which means it can't center it exactly. But that's okay. Right, we'll want some buffers here because eventually we'll control the number of robots in the network using conditions. We'll just use some boxes for buffers. And there we have it. Robots are being put into a robot network of one roboport. Look at them go. Here's a neat trick, by the way. I don't want to starve my logistics bot creation, so let's create a splitter and a bypass. So we just split the red circuits here, a bypass to have half of the red circuits go to making the roboport and the other half go to making the logistic robots. Half and half, perfect split, easy peasy. Next, let's make some logistics network chests. Those just need steel, green, and red circuits. But quite a lot of steel. We'll definitely need more steel production. Just add a few more steel smelters here. And okay, that's getting going. So let's grab some roboports and sprinkle them across the base. There we go. That is a real robotics network now. And we have green circuits, red circuits, and steel. Well, this means we can make our substations. And that's my hope with this Sashimi base, that it will allow my inner discovery writer really an opportunity to shine. Well, also ultimately being scalable enough. I mean, not to mega base size, but at least to a respectable size and complexity. It's organized chaos. That's what it is, and I am here for it. Okay, next we have quite a few provider chests here, and those are the red ones. And these will make it so my logistic robots can resupply me from my mall, which will be especially important for my discovery-written mall with all the things all over the place. No searching for me. Bring me my stuff bots. Just need to set up my logistics group here. And things are looking okay over in robot production land, but we definitely need more green circuits. Let's just pull them off the bus. Just kidding. Let's pull them off the sashimi belt, which means we need to smelt everything. And it seems like I still don't have a standard green circuit blueprint. Well, time to place everything by hand. Don't forget the filters on every single inserter. I'm doing a lot of shift left click, shift right click to copy all these settings. Maybe blueprints would definitely help with this. And there you have it. We have green circuits, red circuits, steel, engines, electric engines, flying robot frames. Honestly, robots is one of the more complex builds in this game, especially when working from raw materials like this. But hey, it's finally up and running, and again, I think it looks cool. But something's wrong over here. It seems engines aren't producing. They are missing lubricant. And they are missing lubricant because we are backed up on light oil. Oh dear. I only put one light oil to gas chemical plant. I needed 2. I knew I needed 2, but I just sort of forgot, it seems. Well, looks like I'm going to have to tear this thing up and replace it with a new build. And here we go. The new build's up and running, and wait, did I do that again? I totally forgot that I was trying to add another light oil plant. All right, and we will tear it up again. Oh, the joys of retrofitting in Factorio. It's like trying to add a second bathroom to a house that barely had enough room for a first bathroom. But I did it. There we have it in all of its glory. Robots for the sashimi base. Well, that was fun. Like always, like and subscribe if you want to see more Factorio Sashimi Style. And may your belts never back up, and may your ratios always be imperfect.